Welcome to Offsite Dirt, the podcast committed to news and insight in the offsite construction industry. Join our team of experts covering modern methods of construction, high-performance build, lean manufacturing, prefab, and beyond. Here's the dirt on Offsite Dirt. We would like to thank our partner, Wesco, for being our official Offsite Dirt sponsor.
We provide innovative supply chain solutions every hour, every day, all around the globe. Our people roll up their sleeves and help create a world you can depend on. Focusing on the details, the challenges, and the unexpected, so that you can live life uninterrupted. Wesco. Ingenuity delivered.
Hello, welcome back to Offsite Dirt. We are on the Offsite Construction Series with one of our fabulous sponsors. I have to say, when I have talked with US Factory, they were just kind of US Frame Factory, they were just kind of starting and moving and shaking, and I got to meet these two amazing brothers that work together. Today we're meeting with one of them. We're meeting with Mateo Atwi. He is actually the CEO and co-founder, and then his brother is Tiego, who is also part of this amazing firm. And the most amazing thing about this company is the way that they not only build steel frame, cold form steel frame structures and integration, but also the diverse background of how they have come together and what they do out in, I think it's Louisiana, right, Mateo?
Yeah, we're in Louisiana. Thanks for the intro, Audrey. And I believe the last time we interviewed with you, we did it under the name of Boxy LLC, which was our modular company that has since then sort of morphed and rebranded into a U.S. Frame Factory, but not forgotten in our memories. We
Yes.
think that the whole industry of prefab and modular is fascinating and amazing, and there's so many ways to continue the evolution in it.
I so agree with you. I would love if you wouldn't mind. I know that, the unique thing about what you do is that you come from a mechanical engineering background, and so does your brother. So give us a little bit more about kind of where you started, where we're at, and then we're just going to jump into a couple questions.
Yeah. So, my brother and I are both mechanical engineers. I went to Georgia Tech in Atlanta, and he went to school in Louisiana. We're both originally from Louisiana. And if you asked us when we were teenagers or in high school, probably both of us would have said that we're not going to be in Louisiana after we graduated working here. It's sort of a sleepier, slower state. People are fortunately laid back here. They family oriented, a lot of really good things now that like I appreciate it. But sort of in our youth, we're still youthful, but in kind of in our teenage years, we definitely didn't see it that way. And then after going our separate ways and working in a variety of industries, from I did shipping containers, he did full wind turbines in the middle of Texas. We got back together and we decided, hey, we have this unique opportunity to work with family funding to develop a business. And our father, he's a doctor by trade, but he's an entrepreneur by heart, and he's always thinking like, what's better? What can we build better? What's next? And he thinks a lot about construction. So he's like, hey, you guys should do housing. You should fix the housing crisis and all these problems. And unfortunately, we have not fixed the housing crisis yet, but we're working on it. And and by his guidance and our sweat, we've built up a U.S. Frame Factory as a full service cold form steel solutions company, where from project conception through some sort of project delivery to the job site, we are involved with a project that will have cold form steel in it. And we ultimately ended up on this solution because of the manufacturability of it. It's funny, we didn't like weigh the pros and cons of this versus wood or concrete or some sort of precast concrete. We just thought this is manufacturable. Let's give it a shot. And then we actually figured out the market that we would be in after we figured out the manufacturing technology, which I don't think that's how a lot of people run businesses. And it took us a while to really figure out what that market is and who those clients are. But but again, fortunately, we were family funded, so we could kind of take things and experiment and just let things go where they went. And that's how we ended up with US Frame Factory.
Well, it's truly successful, and how blessed you are to have the backing of your family to walk into this because we both know it's a costly venture, right? And trying to figure out these things. I'm just curious. So, having this background and being at mechanical engineers, how has that benefited your business?
Yeah, it's funny. I did more construction when we were doing the shipping containers because although a shipping container is a lot of stick construction inside a factory condition, there wasn't a lot of like pre-design. There wasn't a lot of at the time. I think they've become more advanced since then, and they do more drawings now at the company I came from, B Marco Structures. But still, they at the time it was pretty rudimentary, small team. We didn't have a full-time drafter yet, and it was just a lot of stick construction. And frankly, I was a really bad manager at times and didn't know how to manage the subcontractors I had to manage, and I didn't know their trades well enough. And so, um, whenever we switched to doing roll forming, it was actually something very engaging for me and my brother as mechanical engineers. We study all of this stuff conceptually, and now it's like the rubber hits the road, and you've got these systems that are purely mechanical systems, and so it was really exciting to transition into that. We've definitely grown a lot as managers and understanding how to manage our resources, and hope to transfer that back into more of this construction space over time. But still, understanding how to fix a machine that's broken, I think is one of the things that makes us most successful. Because when you're promising delivery dates and something inevitably breaks when you have the most amount of work to do, you have to know how to fix it really quickly. And I don't think a lot of people understand that about roll forming. It doesn't matter how much you spend on a machine. In fact, probably the more you spend on the machine, the harder it is to fix it when it breaks. So it's sort of this paradox where to be really good at it, you actually have to know how it breaks.
Well, and I think it's very unique, like you said, to be able to be the CEO, the co-founder, and actually not only utilize that material, which again is very unique in the United States market. And I do like that you're using a steel frame system, especially in the areas that I'm in the South, right? And you're in the South, and there's a lot of moisture, there's termites, there's all these other things. So having a solution where you're not going to have those problems is key, right? And so I love that you guys have walked into it, you're going to do it, you're going to figure it out, and it's happened. And so when we're kind of looking at this, we are kind of talking a little bit about competition. And in general, I have to say this about the offsite community. The offsite community is pretty cool because I feel like we're uniquely always trying to help the other person, the other industry. I actually had a conversation with another container company just before this, and just the collaboration has been so unique. And what has been your experience working with other small manufacturers? How does that relationship work? Has it been competitive? Are you finding great strategies through it? How has it worked for US Frame Factory?
Yeah, so I'll start off by saying I think we're actually kind of spoiled in the United States because there is more work here than, you know, 2 dozen companies can take on at any given time. There's more work even in small niche regional areas. And so in the cold form industry, we see a lot of small regional manufacturers that really only service a relatively small radius around themselves. Um, and it's really not a competition. And a lot of times different people have different approaches to roll forming and they have different solutions and they have different client bases that they try to service. So it's really not what we find is it's not a competition, it's actually collaboration. And we have been really fortunate to find other small manufacturers that we can lean on for help in specific things, whether it's a profile we can't run, or whether it's something that we don't have enough capacity, so we need to outsource some of it. And uh, ultimately, I think by building up other groups around us and by sharing work, I think we actually convert more of the industry to the products we are trying to sell from, say, wood products. And by doing so, we actually generate more work for everybody. So we've really starting to see the fruits of collaboration with other companies. And it's not always formal collaboration. It's not always like we're signing non-competes and we're signing that we won't uh, that we do specific amounts of business with each other. It's we trade ideas, we talk, we whenever there's customers that are more appropriate for a different manufacturer, we pass along customers. So it's really this really cool collaboration that we've been able to experience, and we're excited to just see more of that. And we're frankly a pretty open book. We want to see other manufacturers succeed in this space.
Ah, amen. And it's nice that you guys are creating that network because I think that's how we all grow. And like what you were saying, I mean, how nice is it when you can give somebody else some business because you have so much overflow and they will always return the favor. I feel like that's kind of been the most wonderful thing about Offsite Dirt is that the collaboration from helping others always helps all of us, right? And I want to see this grow. I truly believe in all solutions for offsite and being able to use prefab or using a steel frame or using modular because there's no way that we can continue with the crisis that we're having without having a unique, position in the marketplace. And so I love to see it grow and good for you to have the maturity and the level to understand that collaboration creates more opportunity.
Yeah, and you see it a lot where especially the cold form steel manufacturers are very bad at this. Sometimes they'll push their product so hard and they'll say, this is going to be the solution for housing. And it may be a solution and part of the solution, but for one, nobody can really say what's going to be the final solution. For two, the solution is actually a well integrated industry where many people can supply and can contribute. It's not a one size fits all, and there's so many different geographical and even municipal differences that drive what you have to do for your construction. And so, um, the more we share and the more we can work out those niches and those differences, I think the more traction we'll gain over time. And so it's not a one size fits all. There are people that I say, go build with wood. That's your best option, that's what you need.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that. So, coming from the CEO position and the co-founder position, I'm sure you guys have an intricate labor force, and hiring is probably very unique. What sets you guys apart from, some of the other industry people that you have? What makes your team stronger or better or more resourceful? What have you guys found with your, culture and hiring?
Yeah. I'm very, very thankful for our workforce. Uh, they are majority local, so we haven't had to go reach out to outside areas to bring in talent that may not be so connected to the company. It's quite the reverse. Everybody here is homegrown for the most part. They've they maybe most people didn't have any background in roll forming or steel, and this is their first job in that space. We've had people come from the retail, from Target. We've had people come from the restaurant industry as cooks. We've had people come from um, straight out of college. We've had people come from, we got one production manager who's from an agricultural background. And we really hire for aptitude and attitude rather than experience because what we're doing can be at times different. And the attitude we want to take is that we're trying to do it different. And if we just bring on seasoned, experienced veterans, they're going to bring the baggage of what they do with the process. And these guys, we can actually train them and hire them and bring them up in the process that we want them to know. And also they bring innovations from their collective industries. We have a guy who's a carpenter who brings woodworking experience and surprisingly the guy who's a chef brings all of this sort of restaurant organization and the way that they take care of orders and tickets in the restaurant. I mean it's like it's kind of hilarious how each personality uh brings part of the picture for us and makes a much fuller organization where it's not people stuck in their ways. Like I'm genuinely surprised. I walk out and guys have figured out ways to do things that I just would never have thought of, even though I'm a mechanical engineer and I should be like really good at operations. So um, I really love and I'm thankful that they all, for the most part, get along with each other. They like hanging out with each other. We do office events and people are not only coworkers, but they're friends to some extent, and they're able to get along with each other. So I'm very thankful for our team. I think they're one of the biggest parts we're successful in what we do.
Well, it breeds from leadership. And thank God that you have decided to make that such a priority, you and your brother, because I was just talking with Latacube in Grand Junction. I was talking to John Fay, the CEO there. And one of the
Yeah.
things that their whole team, kind of like what you guys do, is really about their culture and really not only, hiring the right people, but also how they keep improving their systems of communication. How do they actually acknowledge people? What do they do to create inspiration and creativity? Would you say you guys kind of do that same thing? Because I'm feeling you do.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, John's an interesting case study. I've heard some of his interviews and he had no construction background, if I remember correctly. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and so you actually, I think when you don't have a lot of experience, you really have to rely on other people even more because there's just some things that you have to be honest that you don't know how to solve in the moment, and maybe that guy who works on the machine every day, all day, is going to actually have a better idea of how to solve it than you, and so 100% we have to open ourselves up for feedback, both on a communication level, on a managerial level, on a getting product out the door level. I mean, it's really cool, like to think that everything we see here is the way it is because we had to solve a problem. Whether it's the way we packaged our material or the way we label it or the way we process it through software and drive our machines through software, everything, and it's developing. It's not going to be the same 4 months from now, and it changes every time we hire someone too. The communication changes, especially at our size of company with about 15 people on board this summer.
Yeah, it's wonderful. You guys keep continuing to grow. I swear it's amazing. So, in closing, I don't know if you'd like to share with our audience what kind of projects you guys work on. Is there a particular industry? Is there a particular size? What are you guys working on?
We've always taken the approach of we don't mind working on smaller projects, even local people who need a few studs or whatever, we'll take care of them. Because whenever we were small, people took care of us even whenever they didn't have to, even whenever they had much bigger clients to tend to. So we feel strongly, and frankly, it's not profitable for us a lot of the time when we take care of these smaller jobs, but we still feel that it's important for us to help people get started and get going. Um, so there's really not a project too small for us. I mean, there are some logical constraints, like we can't ship a very small amount of steel very far away because it's just cost prohibitive to ship it. But within our means, we'll take care of people. In terms of our target audience, though, we really see ourselves as a full service cold form steel solutions provider. And solutions, I mean, we'll help people understand the engineering they need to get their project done. We'll help them optimize the building to reduce the weight, to create a high quality product that is as efficient as we, with our current knowledge, know how to make it. We're always digging deeper to see how can we remove any excess weight? How can we make this thing lighter and stronger at the same time? Because more weight doesn't always mean it's stronger. It's actually about how you're building. And so there's some really, I mean, we're young, but we still have some good experience that takes us up to this point. We love to do more multifamily, more hospitality, but also more commercial, more industrial. We'd love to do more churches. We'd love to do more gas stations. Basically, anything where the client and us know that it's a really good, appropriate use for metal studs, we would love to be a partner with that. Even residential, although we really have to look at projects that are residential and say, do you really want to do this out of cold form steel? It depends on your labor supply chain locally. It depends on your aptitude to tackle something that's going to be different than wood, and depends on your budget too. So again, we're I try to be a very nice salesman. If your project doesn't work, I will point you in the right direction and pass you along. Otherwise, we'll do our darndest to get you the best cost in the industry and to take care of you. But there's also many other great people out there who can help you in the space. So we encourage more people to consider it, especially as we've seen insurance rates rising and these non-combustible applications becoming really valuable, both for actual critical safety and for build quality.
Amen. And, I think people appreciate when you care about them and saying, hey, this might not be the best option for you. It kind of works both ways.
Yeah, we hope so. We hope that people appreciate it when we push them in different directions.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it has been amazing to talk to US Frame Factory. I have to say, Mateo, every time I talk to you, I love the energy that you bring to the industry, to cold form steel, to being able to create buildings and using this panel system and stud system. And then not to mention how you guys continue to grow and explore and expand. It's wonderful to see you again. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Audrey.
And that's a wrap. Now you have a little bit more dirt on Offsite Dirt. Thanks for being here and have a great day.